All right, folks, what's going on? Roland Martin here. Today is Tuesday. It is the 9th of February, 2021. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump begins. Democrats open with a blistering video. It will show you and what the hell was going on with his attorneys, Donald Trump's attorneys. I think my cousin Vinny probably did a better job on this very issue. Also, folks, we'll talk with the founder of a medical testing site in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who is doing everything she can to combat COVID-19. Also, we will pay tribute to Mary Wilson, one of the founders of Supreme. She passed away last night in Las Vegas at the age of 76. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best. You know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
Republicans continue to defend Donald Trump even after he incited a riot to attack and storm the U.S. Capitol. That's pretty much what Democrats laid out in a blistering opening of the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump. He hasn't been impeached twice now, the first president in American history. But going to the Senate, it requires for him to be acquitted or convicted. Democrats made the case that even though he is no longer in office, the Constitution still allows for him to be convicted. Folks, they opened this thing with a stunning 13-minute video. Any Republican, any conservative who defends Donald Trump after watching this video, shame on you.
We will stop the steal. Today I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Yeah! Take the Capitol! Take the Capitol! Take the Capitol! We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. Everybody in! This way!
Tens of thousands of votes. They came in duffel bags. Where the hell did they come from?
Madam Speaker, the Vice President, and the United States Senate.
Off the sidewalk.
Stand up for him. Stand up for him. We outnumber you a million to one out here, dude.
Take the building! Take the building! Fuck these kids. Join us! That's enough! There's more coming!
It's a Constitution says you have to protect our country and you have to protect our Constitution. And you can't vote on fraud. And fraud breaks up everything, doesn't it? When you catch somebody in a fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules. So I hope Mike has the courage to do what he has to do.
Talk about you,
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Fuck you, Sid Police! Fuck you,
So we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol. And we're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help, we're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
Get the fuck out of here, you trash!
Majority Leader.
We're debating a step that had never been taken in American history. President Trump claims the election was stolen. The assertions range from specific local allegations to constitutional arguments to sweeping conspiracy theories. But my colleagues, nothing before us proves illegality anywhere near the massive scale that would have tipped the entire election.
My challenge today is not about the good people of Arizona.
And it will stand in recess until the call of the chair.
We'll pause.
Protesters are in the building.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, can I have order in the chamber?
The House will be in order. House will be in order. Okay.
There's gotta be something in here we can fucking use against these scumbags.
That's what we fucking need, to have 30,000 guns on here. Next trip. That's what we need. Let's go! Let's go! Take it! Take it out! Use the shield! Use the shield! Use the shield! We need fresh patriots abroad!
There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
That video, folks, extremely damning. I mean, what more can you say? Trump's lawyers, they said a whole bunch of other stuff. It really don't matter. Joining us right now is A. Scott Bolden, former chair of National Bar Association Political Action Committee. Scott, I'll tell you, that's one of those moves where if you are a defense attorney and in the first 3 minutes of that video, you say, dog, we need to plead. we need to plead. I ain't got nothing.
Cases like that.
That's why you say Johnny Cochran not gonna get your ass off.
No, Roland, you say you going.
That's where you say Matlock not gonna get you off.
You going, buddy?
What's the other dude? Perry. What was
Mason.
it? Huh? Perry Mason, bruh. We need to go ahead and just wrap this up. and when Bruce Castor got up there, he was sitting there going like, the birds are flying over and the sky's blue. It's a gorgeous day. I'm glad to be with y'all. I don't know what I'm gonna say. That's pretty much how I interpreted the defense of Donald Trump.
It was inexcusable. You know what's interesting is I counted. This is their 7th group of lawyers for Donald Trump. That's the first thing. Second of all, they came in at the last minute, right? So they haven't had a whole lot of time. But you don't need a lot of time if you got a videotape and you want to argue constitutionality or the lack thereof, or you're going to argue the fact, or you're going to argue both. They did neither today. They had this incoherent argument that said Nancy Pelosi rushed this through, even though he was impeached while he was president. But then after she rushed it through, they said they didn't have enough time to prepare and that constitutionally this was inappropriate, even though Donald Trump was impeached when he was in office. And the Constitution says the Senate has jurisdiction over all impeachment matters. So if you impeach and then you run the clock out, the Senate still has to do its conviction or its trial to either convict or not convict.
Well, and the thing about it is that, and this is the piece here, the Supreme Court has also ruled, this ain't us. Y'all are the Senate. Y'all are to decide what's constitutional or not. You are to decide if guilty or innocent. That is not, the Constitution clearly allows for the Senate to decide that. And then when they say, the Constitution says high crimes and misdemeanors, it doesn't specify, which means that Congress can actually determine on its own accord what they constitute as a high crime or misdemeanor.
Well, if there was ever a crime committed, it's a federal offense to incite a crime. You know that, right? And incite a crime at the Capitol is a separate category of offenses. And so you certainly have a high crime and a misdemeanor, a high crime and a felony. That's the first thing. But Roland, if you ever look at Article 1, Section 3, which they didn't really get into, right? It provides specifically that one of the punishments by majority vote of the Senate is that you can no longer serve in office. And so once you are impeached and you are convicted, you're no longer in office. And then the Senate can then vote to banish you from public service going forward. It's right there. And what's amazing about the Republicans is they are the strict constructionists. They are the original contextualists. I mean, this is not a living document. The Constitution is what it is. The founders contemplated everything. And now you saw them looking at their tweets in their papers, on their computers, completely ignoring these realities of contextualism. And now all of a sudden, they're just going to do jury nullification and ignore it and say, listen, I'm going to go with it. It's not constitutional. While the Democrats ran this video showing Trump and showing the Trump's worst bad actors. It was like a rally of theirs that we've been telling them about for 4 or 5 years on steroids, right? You saw why they were there. You saw what they did. You saw them attack democracy in the Capitol in live color, in living color. And it is atrocious and absurd that the Republican senators, 44, voted to argue that the Senate did not have jurisdiction, let alone voting no eventually or possibly to not convict him. I think they're going to convince them otherwise. They may not get to the 17, but that video that you're going to see a lot of this week, that's a powerful piece juxtaposed with Trump there giving the order to go to the Capitol.
Absolutely that. All right, Scott Bolden, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much, and we'll see the comedy of his defense tomorrow. Let's go to our panel, Brandon Bryce, host of the Brandon Bryce Show, Tarun Walker, founder of Cons Media, Lauren Victoria Burke, National Newspaper Public Association writer. Lauren, I'll start with you. It really was laughable to listen to Bruce Castor stand up there. Maybe he was confused. Maybe he thought that he was supposed to offer a filibuster. Maybe he thought that if I talk for the next, if I try to break Strom Thurmond's filibuster record, I can somehow end this whole thing. Because in a filibuster, you could just stand there and just drone on and on and on about anything. I still have no idea what the hell they said for 2 hours.
Right. Yeah. And you don't know what the hell they said because they don't know what the hell they said. They were, of course, ill prepared because they were caught off guard. Obviously, Donald Trump, as Scott just pointed out, is on his 7th set of attorneys. So these attorneys were very ill prepared, very late hire. They get out there and they made fools out of themselves. What were they supposed to say? I mean, what Congressman Raskin should have done is played the video and then just walked off. Just walked off the Senate floor because the video was the whole thing. You can't defend any of this. And there's no argument that they're going to come up with to defend any of this. You know, these people attacked the Capitol while Donald Trump running his mouth. And then Donald Trump goes after several members of Congress tried to contact him, including the minority leader of the House, Kevin McCarthy. He ignores that.
Wait a minute, and Kellyanne Conway.
Right. That's right. That's right. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's happening simultaneous to him talking. The beauty of that video was, of course, they had sort of a real-time effect to it, a cause and effect. And how can you defend it? You can't defend it. These people attacked the U.S. Capitol violently. Their comments are highlighted. One of the things I kind of liked about the video is, of all the video that I have seen, I had not seen certain clips of that video. Some of that stuff was new. And, of course, they turn up the volume on the intent of what these people were doing. You know, they're chanting what they're saying going in. Obviously, the actions speak for themselves, but the words always also speak. And, you know, what can you say? It's disgusting. It's crazy. And to quote Joe Scarborough, these people would have been shot in the face had they been black. There would have been 400 or 500 dead people. Somehow they got away with, which is incredible, that type of violent attack and insurrection, seditious insurrection on the Capitol, and still somehow live to tell about it, which is completely incredible and insane.
Brandon, this is pretty funny. CNN's Caitlin Collins reports Trump was deeply unhappy and borderline screaming over Bruce Castor's performance. Brandon, what the hell did he think he was going to say? They have no defense. I mean, you literally have the dude on tape inciting. Then, when they are attacking the Capitol, he's tweeting dogging Pence, who's inside. We got individuals. If they really wanted to go there, if this was a real trial and Republicans actually had a brain and were not trying to suck up to Trump, they would call Kellyanne Conway. Did you call down Trump? Did you try to reach him? Did he answer your phone call? No, he didn't. Kevin McCarthy, right. Did you try to call Donald Trump? Yes. Did he pick up your phone? Yes. What did you tell him? We need the National Guard. What did they tell you? He was busy watching TV. If they actually call witnesses, they would be able to prove he was enjoying watching it all unfold. Bruce Castor, first of all, I don't even know why in the hell, if you Bruce Castor, you stupid enough to take the damn job to make yourself look like an ass in front of the world.
Because, Roland, it's all about lawyers want to get paid. You know, it was one thing that was interesting. Even Alan Dershowitz said, what are they doing?
Yeah,
I mean,
even he was. Yeah, but he also said, "Yeah, I'm good. I ain't gonna be on this. I won't be on this defense team. Yeah, I'm good. Because let me translate what he said.
Yeah.
Well, Trump out of office, so I ain't nothing more I can get out of his ass. So I ain't about to sit here and make myself look like a fool."
Roland, here's the one problem I have with this, and I watched that video through and through. The protesters that we had earlier this summer that also attacked federal buildings in Portland and Seattle, that didn't get covered. But when you look at a situation like this, not only did this get covered, but what's damaging, and it's unfortunate, first of all, we saw nooses at the Capitol. Unacceptable. But the other part of that is, and I'll go back to my colleague on the panel with me, the language. Okay, people riot. People have issues with the way the government's going. We get that. But some of the language, it's damaging. No attorney, and I am a Republican, but no attorney is going to take that case when clearly it looked like it was planned. And if you look at the language, they were looking for senators, Democrat and Republican. You can't address it. And even Mitch McConnell said, I don't want to touch it. It's time to move on. Let the chips fall where they fall.
Roland, the thing that I find to be hilarious is that if you're a Republican and you're a Republican senator, if this ain't enough to convict, what you basically saying is there ain't a damn thing a president can do short of literally pulling a gun on somebody and firing the gun on live television. Otherwise, yeah, we good. But that's really what they're saying. Again, the white folks who founded America, those racist slaveholders, I don't think they actually envision that there will be so many cowards who will be completely unwilling to ignore the Constitution and suck up to one person. I don't think they said, now, these people got to understand country over party. Not these Republicans. Not these ones.
I think it's important to put what happened on the 6th in the historical context. What we saw at the Capitol that day was no different than what happened in Rome in 1922 when Mussolini marched on the government. It's no different than what happened in Munich in 1924 when Adolf Hitler marched against the Bavarian government. What you saw was a coalition of racist, right-wing people who were energized by elements inside the government who didn't have the courage to push back against an authoritarian president. And what you saw was the result of that. Looking at some of that footage, some of it I had seen, some of it I hadn't. But looking at that, you can tell that these people were operating out of a central system that basically said that you can come to the Capitol, you can commit acts of violence, you can invade the Capitol, and you will not face any real consequences because you have absolution from above. That's what you saw. What's really on trial is not so much Donald Trump right now. It's the American system. It's also Republican theory, because if you are a Republican right now, you're based your whole idea on the rule of law, and you based your own idea of this due process that every American has to follow. That was a blatant disrespect, and it was a blatant disregard for the rule of law. It was an obvious disregard of law enforcement that they say they love so much, to the point where there were deaths of police officers that they're not talking about. That's what's really on trial right here. Donald Trump is really a symptom. He's not the cause. But it's important to let the American public know that there are consequences for these actions. But right now, there aren't any. Outside of the impeachment, you're not really seeing a lot of that. I think it's good that this impeachment is taking place, but there's a lot more at stake than just one individual and one president. It's the future of this democracy, and the fact that is democracy going to stand for what it says it does, or is it hypocrisy?
See, what this speaks to, Lauren, is just very simple. And that is, there is no such thing as the Trump base in the Republican Party. That the Republican Party is absolutely walking in lockstep. I don't want to hear, even before it was like, well, they were afraid that he would tweet about them. They were afraid of the things that he would say or do. He no longer has power. He's no longer in the Oval Office. He no longer is on Twitter. He's no longer on Facebook or on YouTube. But this whole idea, they're still scared of him. No. They agree with him. They agree with his supporters. They agree with these people who say the election was stolen and that he is the rightful heir. Kevin McCarthy sat his ass on Fox News and said, Trump won, landslide. You can't now come back and say, okay, Trump didn't win, but I was kind of just saying that. No. You did that. Which, see, I don't trust any of them now. If you are a conservative or Republican, and today, if you're still on the side of Trump, I can and never will trust you or want to hear from you again.
You know, it's not just still on the side of Trump. If you're not loudly denouncing this and loudly saying something, then clearly you're okay with it. And you're right, Roland, all this nonsense about they're not doing anything because they're afraid. They're not doing anything because they agree with it. Because had he pulled it off, they would have been okay with it. Kevin McCarthy would have been okay with the election not being certified and Trump staying in office. They would have gone along with it. So that's clear. I actually think the modern Republican Party as we know it is over. It's gone because, you know, people like Liz Cheney represent the minority. They don't want to admit it, but this is the extension of the Southern strategy. This is the extension of them thinking that they should be in charge of everything, that black people don't matter, that you get your voters through racism, through scaring white people through racism. They've been playing this game now for 5-6 decades. And now that they're at the point where they watched a black man get elected president built on a very a racially dynamic coalition that involved a certain percent of white folks. They've been losing the popular vote in these elections now for the last 4 out of 5, and so they don't have a solution to win nationally. They're losing. They know they're losing. They know they're going to continue to lose because the demographics in this country are what they are. They're afraid of that, and they've chosen effectively tyranny and dictatorship over democracy. That's what they're doing. So Mo Brooks and Gosar and these people are not alone. They would have gone along with it had that election not been certified. They would have gone along with it. That is the not so dirty little secret. There's nothing secretive about it. We know that this is true because that's what they were saying. And now in this moment, okay, after watching that video that was played, you still got a bunch of senators sitting in there. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm undecided. I don't know what to do because they agree with it, because they know where this is headed. They're looking at Kamala Harris. They know that she's the likely person to come next after Joe Biden. And if it's not her, possibly somebody else. But I think that moment when the first black president of the United States was elected, that was very clarifying for anybody who has an inherent problem with somebody black being in charge. Donald Trump was the backlash of that. And now we got even more backlash with this seditious insurrection, this violent insurrection on the U.S. Capitol.
You know, look, it's not, this is not difficult, Brandon. It's just not. This is really not hard. This really is a question. Are you going to stand on this side? Or are you going to stand on the side with these white domestic terrorist traitors? That's it. There is no... See, they can try to make this thing as complicated as they want to. Not complicated, bro. It's not
Roland,
complicated.
You know, Roland, here's the issue. And let's go back to when Donald Trump first came in. Let's be very clear. The Republican Party didn't want him. He was not their first choice. Their issue is it was a double-edged sword because he was the man that could actually win the White House. And that came at a price. Now the challenge is he had the White House. And as you can see, some Republicans had to stick on principle and our values versus a man that in some cases, some people feel created his own base. Now, the issue is who's the new base? And that's the problem. And so now it's when you have people like Mitch McConnell who are saying, well, you know, we need to move on and all. Well, they weren't saying that before the election time. Now that they're elected, they're safe. And people were scared to go against Trump, if you remember back in September and October, thinking if he had win, their seats were at jeopardy. So it's all politics, Roland.
No, see, this is what To run, this is where I got to disagree with Brandon. This is the Republican Party. They thought, no. They thought we can control the Tea Party. We can control and shape and keep at bay those impulses of those people. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride them to victory. We're going to ride them to take control of the House. We're going to ride them to take control of the Senate. You take the Sarah Palins of the world, okay, when McCain picked her. They all thought we can manage them.
Right.
Remember when they got elected? Folks said, don't worry about it. When they come to D.C., they're going to realize how things work in D.C. So all of a sudden, they said, oh, yeah, so now they come. And so then the House Freedom Caucus all of a sudden frustrates everything. John Boehner's like, the hell with this, I'm out. Remember, they denied Kevin McCarthy from becoming Speaker of the House. That's how Paul Ryan got the job. Okay? So now all of a sudden, you look at that in those 8 years of Obama and the constant deal. Then 2016 rolls around. The impulses that they said we can manage, now all of a sudden, an individual with no morals, no values, no principles, who is a moral degenerate comes along, and he is now articulating what the crazy say. To Brandon's point, oh, yes, the quote, traditional Republican Party did not want Donald Trump, but they wanted the votes of the people who thought like Donald Trump. Then those forces merged. And it merged, and it leads to the election of Trump. Then they go, okay, we can't stand his ass, but we like power. We get our judges. We get our tax cuts. We get our deregulation. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride this till the wheels fall off. Well, guess what? The wheels fell off January 6th, and now they had a choice to make. The choice they had to make to run was, do we side with the American people? Do we side with the Constitution? Do we side we know what's right? Or do we keep playing footsie with the people who brought us here, who elected Trump? They chose to do so. 140 House Republicans vote not to certify certain electors. They went on that floor in the Senate and gave those speeches. Liz Cheney stands up, and Liz Cheney speaks with authority about what should happen and that this man did wrong. Then you have Matt Gaetz and others who tried to strip her of her power. And the only reason she is still holding on to run, the only reason is because the vote was secret. If the vote was public, they would have removed her from office. No, they got to own this. They got to sleep in this bed. This is the Republican Party of the 21st century.
I agree with you, but I think there's another point that's very important to pay attention to. It wasn't just the Republican Party that got into bed with Trump and said that we could manage him. You also have to talk about people on the left and also people in the Democratic Party and liberals who thought that he wasn't going to be a serious threat because they saw him as a clown and they saw him as a joke. I mean, we saw clips of people on cable news shows people who gave people warnings and saying that, look, Trump has a very good chance of winning this election, and they got laughed off the stage or they got disregarded. What people don't realize is that it's not so much about Trump, it's about what he represents. And what he represents is the resurgence of white male power. That's what people invested into Trump. That's what they were fighting against, and they didn't realize it. It wasn't about one man, and it wasn't even about the extreme elements in the party. People who latched on to Trump latched onto this idea that this is the man that's going to give us power. We've had 8 years of a black male president. We've had 4 years of protests against police brutality, and we're tired of that. What we want is to have, quote unquote, make America great again, which in their minds means bring back the domination of white males. Regardless of anything he said, regardless of any legislation he passed, that is an emotional response, and that is an emotional appeal. And I don't care how intelligent you are or how much data you give to somebody, you can't really beat an emotional appeal like that with data. They latched on to Trump. They clung to him because they saw him as their representation, and they were going to go along with anything he did, no matter how horrific it was. That goes from somebody living in a trailer park to somebody who's in Congress, who can hitch their wagon to him. That's what they're dealing with. And I think some people still don't really understand that's really what is at the base of a lot of this. That's what you saw in the 6th. That's what you saw in a lot of the legislation that was passed over the last 4 years. And until that is addressed and until that is actively combated, you're going to see this thing happen again in the next 2 years or maybe the next 4.
See, I'm just not going to let the people off the hook, Lauren. Ain't going to happen. I'm not letting them off the hook. And my whole deal is, if y'all want to ride with them, I'm good. Every single one of y'all must be taken out. I don't want to hear shit about unity and, we got to move forward. We got to put the country back together. Oh, if we do this, this is going to split the nation, and they are in pain, and they've got to heal. Damn that. If you supported what took place on January 6th, and you are willing to not condemn it, and you are willing to go along with it, and you are willing to keep the people in power who wanted January 6th to happen, y'all can kiss my ass.
Yeah, it's like what Dr. King said about the white moderate, right? So we sit up here and they don't realize the danger of racism. They don't realize how dangerous it is to let these people run wild unchecked, which is why you can have 2 or 3 events in Washington, D.C. before anybody says anything that led up to this moment. You can have Charlottesville and everybody just sort of falls asleep until there's a open air riot, in front of everybody's face. And, it's always African Americans because we are the target of these, racist nuts. We're always the ones that are first out the door to say, okay, we have to be very careful with these people. And I agree. I'm not into this idea that, we're going to sing Kumbaya and all work together. They need to be punished. They need to be prosecuted. The FBI needs to hire 1,000 more agents to catch everybody that was there and prosecute them. They have to be taught a lesson, and they have to be shown what happens when you do this so that they don't do it again, because they will do it again. They'll plan something and they'll do it again. The minute that they start realizing they can get away with it, and they start realizing the people who have been prosecuted aren't getting much time, this idiot that's sitting over here in Alexandria who can only eat vegetarian food, and they move him to a facility where he can eat vegetarian food. That sort of tells you what direction this is going in terms of the lack of prosecution. But until you teach these people a lesson and confront them, you will get this again and again and again. And I get it. President Biden wants to, I want to do unity, and I want to make sure that the Republicans feel comfortable. Forget all that. Forget all that. The Senate should be moving after this impeachment to expel from the Senate 2 members because they were involved in the sedition. That conversation that we had last week about Green and Boebert, that should have been an expulsion conversation, not a conversation about taking them off of committees. Who cares about which committee they're on? We're finding out that they were escorting people through the Capitol to show them where everything was at. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You got to be absolutely kidding me to allow these people to get away with this. And certainly none of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus could ever get away with this foolishness, not even in the least. And I'm not sure why any member, white or black, should get away with it. But it has to be confronted very directly and with a lot of punishment applied to it.
This here is a tweet from Brandon from Republican Frank Luntz. Go to my iPad. I just watched the January 6th video. People need to go to jail. What a disgrace and an embarrassment. Those who destroyed the Capitol and those who encouraged them need to be held fully accountable. No exceptions, no excuses. Send them to prison. Brandon, I find it hilarious how the Law and Order Party now is like, everyone makes a mistake. In the words of Mike Lee, we can give a mulligan. A mulligan is an extra golf shot. A mulligan is not kill a Capitol police officer and everybody's good. Capitol police officers lose their fingers, eyes gouged out, brain damaged. It really wasn't that bad. When you got this Congresswoman Mace saying to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, well, you really weren't in the Capitol. You're not telling the truth, when she actually said the Capitol complex. As if they were only knocking on a couple of doors in Congress. See, I got no time for games with these people. I'm not trusting these people to look after black folk. I'm not trusting any of them because they do not have the interests of our people. They have courted, they have accepted, they have embraced racists and bigots who now have guns, who were there with the zip ties, who were there in armor, who were there in body armor, who were communicating on radios. They knew and you had members, Republican members, who were letting folks know where people were, the moves they were going in. Congressman Jim Clyburn said, how did they find my private office? Not a public one. He said they walked past his public office and they came to his private office. How did the panic buttons in the office of Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley get removed? This is real. And this man must be convicted, and any Republican who stands with him. All Democrats need is what, 10 or 17? I want to know who's going to stand with Donald Trump. And if they do, I don't need you to show me anything else. You show me exactly who you are.
Roland, a couple things here. Frank Luntz, I think, is absolutely right in saying, I mean, anybody with a brain that watches this video should be right on when they say, if you were part of that, you should go to jail, period. The problem is this, Roland, is that, you know, when you talk about racists, I mean, let's be very clear. We can go to your Democrat, former Robert Byrd, who was this president's mentor, who was a grand wizard. So let's get out of the Democrat racist comment.
No. Hold on. Wait. Here's my question. Hold on. Wait. If you're gonna do apples to apples, when was Robert Byrd in the KKK?
It doesn't matter.
No. I'm asking. No. Here's my question. Did Robert Byrd? Again, I'm not defending Robert Byrd. I'm going through facts.
It sounds like you.
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm stating facts. Can you show me evidence where Senator Robert Byrd asked people to come to the Capitol, to the United States Capitol, to overthrow the government?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are there? Wait a minute.
All right.
Do we have existing members of Congress who are Republican, who were playing a critical role in the attempted overthrow of the government on January 6th?
That's fair. That's
now,
fair.
Right now. So here's my whole point. Here's my whole point.
That's fair.
No, here's my whole point.
These are elected people by people in their districts.
No, hold up. No, here's the deal. You can be elected. Now remember, no. See, remember, you can be elected by the people, but the same Constitution has mechanisms to remove you regardless of if the people put you there. So it doesn't matter if the people elected them. If they were engaged in an insurrection, if they were committing treason against the United States, if they are traitors, if they were trying to interfere in the certification of the next president of the United States, and the desired outcome was to keep Donald Trump in office, that means they wanted to overthrow the will of the people, 81 million who voted for Joe Biden, and not the 74 million who voted for Donald Trump. So the point and let's be clear, what they were trying to overthrow wasn't just the will of 81 million people. They were specifically trying to overthrow the results in Atlanta, Detroit, Philadelphia, Milwaukee. That's called black people. That's why I call them racist.
Then explain to me, Roland, why even Joe Biden, the president, said he didn't think that the Senate impeachment was going to overturn. You know why? Because he knows it's politics.
Because he also knows The Republican Party today is gutless. They have no moral compass, that they are completely driven by appeasing the racists and the bigots and the white domestic terrorists who stood with Donald Trump. They want their votes. They need their votes because you might be a Republican, but it's only a couple of you. They cannot appeal to black people. They do not get a majority of Latino vote. And they don't get a majority of the Jewish vote. They don't get a majority of the Asian vote. To run, the Republican Party today is the party of white America.
And it sounds like the RNC needs a new chair. And
no. Guess what? And the same white people reelected her because she was Trump's girl. Taron, go ahead.
No, again, I just want to point out the fact that, yeah, the Republican Party is the party of white supremacists. But the thing about them, I don't agree with you when you say they're spineless. They are very, very courageous when it comes to pushing their agendas forward. Because if you have an agenda that's basically founded in white supremacy and founded in the idea that what we believe in is the advancement of white people, we only care about the wealthy white people. We'll bring you in if you have some color in you, as long as you're wealthy enough to sit with us. They stick to that. But I think what happens a lot on the Democratic side is that too much of the Democratic Party is caught up in trying to be moderates and trying to be everybody's friend instead of trying to be fighters. I think that's starting to change now. And I think what happened on January 6th woke up a lot of people on the Democratic Party about how that's going to have to change. But a bullet can only get so far as you allow him to get. You're going to have to raise up fighters, and you're going to have to raise up people on the left who are not afraid to call for an impeachment, who are not afraid to call for the removal or the incarceration, if need be, of members of Congress who threaten the lives of other Congress people. That's what's going to happen. You know, a snake is always going to be a snake. You can't really reform that. That's not going to change. I'm not really concerned about trying to reform these people or even trying to reach across the aisle to talk to them. People on the left and people who care about justice have to be solid, and they have to be aggressive about what they believe in. Otherwise, it's just talk.
Lauren, final comment.
You know, what's so sad about the whole thing is that the Republican Party would rather have racists than go moderate. They actually could attract enough people to their coalition to win some of these elections. The national elections are very close, and of course, a lot of states it's very close. But the Republican Party has decided that they would rather court the base, which is just a fancy way of saying court a bunch of racists, then go moderate, change some policies, and maybe attract some of the constituencies that they need to win. They're just so dug into, we're not going to change anything because at the end of the day, their formula of trying to attract their electorate by hating black people and effectively saying things like, you know, welfare queen and all this other nonsense to get white people to come to their side. They would rather play that game and continue to play that game than to just alter some policy and really try to appeal to black people. That's what's so sad about it. That tells you all you need to know. And you can see it on the national level from Roland McDaniel. You could, of course, see it from Donald Trump, but you can also see it from a bunch of U.S. senators. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's about a lot of people who agree with what he was saying. They were thinking it the whole time, and he was saying it out loud, and they were okay with it. And now they're out of the Jack in the Box is out of the box. Now they're just out there full on racist now. And Fox News has just become a work of fiction every night. They're basically putting on a complete fictional broadcast to live in an alternative reality because they can't deal with the fact that black people, Latino people are starting to take on more and more leadership roles in this country.
Folks, Brandon, Taron, I certainly appreciate it. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us on the show today. Lauren, you get to stick around because in the next hour, we are going to pay tribute to one of the original members of the Supremes, Mary Wilson, who passed away last night at the age of 76. We'll be talking with a number of folks who knew her well. Eddie Levert, Jeffrey Osborne. We'll hear from Cindy Herron of En Vogue. Also, we'll hear from Melba Moore and others as they pay tribute to the great Mary Wilson. That is next. Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The U.S. uses more than half the world's healthcare resources, but we're ranked 43rd in the world for life expectancy. How did we get here? The political determinants of health include how we structure relationships, how we distribute resources, and how we administer power. What does this look like at the individual level? Take Jessica, for example. Jessica's 19. Her dad relies on mental health and substance use programs, but when these programs get cut, he becomes too difficult to live with. She leaves home. The neighborhood Jessica can afford has no grocery stores, limited public transit, and limited health care. To save money, policymakers changed the water source to a more polluted river. Jessica has a minimum wage job with no health insurance at a convenience store that offers free snacks while she works, which she takes advantage of because they're free. When Jessica becomes pregnant, she can't get health insurance because pregnancy is a pre-existing condition. And she doesn't realize that the salty, fatty snacks that she eats at work are bad for her baby. Jessica gets a ride to the closest clinic for a prenatal appointment, but the doctor is rushed and rude to her. She doesn't go back. Jessica develops preeclampsia and almost dies during her son's premature birth. He's born with cognitive defects because of poor diet, contaminated water source, and lack of access to prenatal care. As he grows up, Jessica learns that her school district doesn't have the resources to accommodate her son's special needs. He drops out after 8th grade and will repeat the cycle of poverty. Through Jessica's story, we begin to see how social determinants, environmental determinants, healthcare determinants, and behavioral health determinants take their toll on our lives. And Jessica's story shows us how political determinants supersede personal responsibility. Equity in our policies is a process and an outcome. Change comes when we can identify political champions at all levels and figure out how our most pressing issues align with their policies. For more actionable solutions to close the health gap, read The Political Determinants of Health by Daniel E. Dawes.
Y'all know who Roland Martin is. He got the ascot on, he do the news. It's fancy news.
Keep it rolling. Right here. Rolling.
Roland Martin.
Right now.
You are watching Roland Martin, unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
Today, folks, we remember the life and legacy of Mary Wilson, the co-founder of the Supremes. Jay Schwartz, Wilson's longtime friend and publicist, said yesterday that Wilson passed away suddenly at the age of 76 at her home in Henderson, Nevada. Schwartz says Wilson was a trendsetter who broke down social, racial, and gender barriers. She began her career in Detroit in 1959 as a singer in what was then called the Primettes. They went on to become the Supremes, Motown's most successful girl group of the 1960s, with 12 #1 singles, including Where Did Our Love Go?, Baby Love, and Stop in the Name of Love. In 2018, Billboard celebrated the 60th anniversary of Motown with a list of the top 100 top artists of all time and listed the Supremes at number 16. Schwartz said in a statement that Wilson's legacy went beyond singing. She became a best-selling author, motivational speaker, businesswoman, and U.S. cultural ambassador. Wilson was also instrumental in passing the Music Modernization Act in 2018, which aimed to modernize copyright-related issues for new music and audio recordings in the face of new technology like digital streaming, which didn't protect music recorded before February 15, 1972. Wilson is survived by her daughters and several grandchildren, sister, and a brother. Schwartz says services will be private due to COVID-19 restrictions, but there will be a memorial service later in the year. Joining us right now, folks, to celebrate the legacy of Mary Wilson is Mel and also singer Michelle Williams. Folks, glad to have both of you here. Mel, to start with you. Last night, man, D Nice was spinning. He was spinning last night and playing music. And then someone posted on his Instagram feed that Mary Wilson had died. I immediately jumped on the phone, started trying to confirm it, and eventually caught up with Otis Wilson, the last surviving original Temptation, who confirmed it, and also Eddie Levert confirmed it as well. So many people obviously were shocked and saddened by the news. Just 2 days ago, she recorded a video on YouTube talking about releasing new music. Share with our audience just your thoughts and reflections about Mary Wilson. Melba?
Mary just made a dear friend. She was always trying to get. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you. We got you. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
They can't hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can. We got you. Go ahead.
I was gonna. All right. Hi. First of all, Roland, okay. First of all,
okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Control room. Hold on.
Mary's life.
Melba, 1 second. Melba, 1 second. 1 second. Control room. Stop talking to Melba. Melba, I can hear you. The audience can hear you. Go ahead with your comments. Melba, go ahead.
Okay, Roland, I was just going to say thank you so much for allowing me to join. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay. All right. Okay. So give me 1 second. Y'all get Melba straight. Let me go to Michelle. Let me go to Michelle Williams. Let me go to Michelle Williams. Michelle, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, Michelle. Just your thoughts. You were obviously a member of one of the most successful girl group of all time. And look, if you are in a female group, everyone gets compared to the Supremes.
Everybody, but what an honor. You know, the Supremes were the blueprint. Motown was the blueprint as well, even for how Matthew Knowles run music world. You know, and so you see three girls and you think of the Supremes. And to me, that's dream come true. It's a dream come true. I was looking at some pictures and I ran across a picture in 2015 where we were honoring Smokey Wilson. It was in conjunction with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Music Hall of Fame in Ohio. And Mary Wilson, it was me, Mary Wilson, Avery Sunshine, in a picture of her kind of saluting this big picture of the Supremes. And I looked at that picture today and I cherish her. Pioneer, full of grace and poise.
When you talk about, again, the success, y'all should be, thank you very much. You should be on two shot, me and Michelle, please. When you talk about the success and the difficulties out there when you're trying to be established, look, reality has been a male-dominated society. But when you look at what they did, when you look at just, again, the hit after hit, but also how they were able to set a standard. And the reality is, if you're a male group, the standard is the Temptations. If you're a female group, the standard of Supremes. That's it.
That's it. That's it. And it's kind of like, you know, and of course, that formula is still going on today. There are standards and bars that certain artists, they've set. And if you can fulfill what the Supremes have done, I hope Destiny's Child did a good job. And guess what? You know, you got Destiny's Child and In Vogue, to me, that really embodied the Supremes and Mary Wilson as a founder. And if I'm mistaken, when they disbanded, she one of the only original members. I get it wrong. But there was a standard set, and we to withhold that standard. And funny enough, like I don't disclose my personal and everything that I do, but funny enough, I was to be with Beyonce and Kelly yesterday. This is, of course, us not knowing the news of Mary Wilson passing.
The group broke up. Obviously, when Diana Ross Mary also was always clear, Diane Ross. When she left the group, they continued. She was a glue that kept them together. And it really wasn't until she released, she had dropped off the public view for a number of years. But it wasn't until she dropped that book, Dream Girl, where she broke down the story of the Supremes, that's what really it brought her back. And she kept performing and she kept singing. And a video we're going to play in a little bit later. She talked about the new music. I mean, she was laying out all these plans she had
just days ago.
In February. It was literally 3 days ago.
Just days ago. And let me tell you something. It is so good to see our legends still going. I don't care if you're 139, still going. Tina Turner, everybody, I want to see them all. I want to see them all. And so to still see Mary Wilson, sometimes I believe running into her in airports. I feel like so many of us have run into Mary Wilson in the airport. I know I have, and she was going and she was touring. And something about Mary Wilson, what you have to stay in an industry, like you said, that was male-dominated, grit and some no-nonsense. Miss Mary didn't play no games.
She did not play any games. Again, so many people are sharing their thoughts, memories of Mary Wilson and what she meant and their stories. And so, Michelle, we really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. You want to do our polls?
Oh, yeah.
How can we do our polls?
Yeah, no, it's a little hard to do our. Yeah, that's right. I got to turn this way. So we do this photo, the prom pose. And for all y'all who don't understand, Michelle and I, we always go at it. She's a big Bears fan, whatever. And I'm being from Houston. And so we go at it constantly. And it's like, if y'all see interview, we making faces at each other. So we take these photos. And these people love spread this photo around like, oh my God, he scared her.
Like it's real.
And
no.
They don't understand. We take 5 photos. So one where you looking crazy, I'm looking crazy. Then, of course, one where we're smiling, whatever. So I had to smack the Ricky Smiley people the other day who don't understand. That's why I had to smack them around. So, so it's all good.
Oh, I get it, which is the whole Omega thing, because he's an Omega. Okay, got it. Well, this is not about, right? He's an Omega, right?
Yeah, he's in that little youth group.
Listen, this was about Mary Wilson tonight. My heart goes out to her family and her friends. Roland, thank you again for having me. Now, don't wait too long to have me back.
I'll have you back. I'll call you. I'm here 5 days a week. Just pick one. You come on.
Okay, let's do it.
That's it.
Let's do it.
All right,
yes, that's easy.
All right, Michelle Wiz, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Love y'all.
All right, we now have got rid of that delay with Melba Moore, and so let's go to Melba Moore. Melba.
Hi, Roland. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Go right ahead. What were your thoughts about Mary Wilson?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to join the celebration of Mary's life. I know Mary as a very, very well-educated person. I'm a former educator, so I relate to her that way. But the main thing I think is important about people is how they treat people. She was always trying to help me get projects and asking me what was going on and talking to other people about trying to help me just keep my career and my life together. And our paths crossed whenever I could go and support her, I did. The last time I saw her was about 1.5 years ago when she was at the Grammy Museum in Newark. There's a new museum in Newark for Grammy Award winners, and she was having an exhibit there. And she looked exquisite. That's very important to us, especially those of us who are old enough to be legends now. We got to look good, okay? Mary was exquisite. But the main thing I have to say about her was she was a caring, loving person. Now, she could fuss you off. I'm not going to say what she might say, but she always loved you and always tried to help you.
The thing that you made the point about legends. You made the point about legends and how we revere them and how the public looks up to them. And it's always great for a new generation to actually still experience that. So if you weren't alive when the Supremes were on top, but then, or in the 70s, but still being able to hear that music and to meet these folks because it is a way to connect with a bygone era.
Absolutely. And I think what's happening today, especially during the lockdown, everybody's kind of on the same plane, and so we connect better. Before there were a few record companies, and when you got to a certain point, it kind of cut you off and went to the next demographic. But we're more than a business. We're more than a demographic. We are family. And so now I think we're better connecting.
Well, but also social media now allows for you to connect directly with your fan base and communicate. And so you're not at the mercy of if someone sent a letter to the record label. If someone says, hey, I want to reach Melba Moore, they don't have your phone number. They can hit you on Instagram, hit you on Twitter. And so that changes the whole world.
It changes it totally. And so we can connect for ourselves. We don't have to be at the mercy of someone else. But we also are required to learn more about the business. Many times artists will relegate that to someone else or to someone who's an agent or who's an attorney or an accountant. But any entity, if it's a family, if it's a business, whatever it is, there's two sides to one coin. One is whatever the product is, and the other side is the financial aspect. And if you don't know that part and you give that away to someone else, you've given half of yourself away. But it's a new day right now.
Melba Moore, we appreciate you joining us for the tribute to the great Mary Wilson. Thanks a bunch, and we sure appreciate you being one of our legends as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you, Mary. I know you in heaven.
All right, then. Thank you so very much. Let's now go to another legend of Motown, the great Martha Reeves. Martha?
Yeah.
Roland Martin, how you doing, darling?
I'm happy. How are you, Roland?
I'm great. It's always good to see you and talk to you. Who was there in Motown when it all be share your thoughts and reflections on this.
I'm pleased to talk to you on your this is a modern technology to me with this iPhone on time. I don't even like the visual. I mean, I'm better. I've been listening to the divas that you had on prior, and I can only say good things about them. Yes, we're the pioneers of the Motown, and yes, we were discovered and trained together by the Professor Berry Gordy Jr. We're all a product of a dream, who was Sound of Young America, and he wanted to develop a group of people who could be socially accepted across the United States and all over the world during the times when there was segregation and there were places where we weren't allowed the use of the restrooms or could stay in hotels. Our first Motown review, Mary Wilson and I were paired. By that I mean they separated the groups. The first girls group at Motown were the Marvelettes, and they led the way for us. And we, Martha and the Vandellas, were the second girls group to make the airwaves and have hit records that scored on the billboards and Record World and Rolling Stone charts. Then there was the Supremes. They had been there all the time, but they were younger, and Berry Gordy decided that he would only work with them when they turned 21. Of course, they had the 10 number ones in a row, and they led the charts, and they reigned supreme. But we led the way, and I'm glad to hear and to be a part of this show, to hear you give accolades to a wonderful actress, a beautiful singer, and a great friend.
They started, of course, at 15. They started together at 15, forming this group, and it had to be. Look, we've seen the movies, we read the books. But Martha, there's no way I think anyone could really understand what it was like to be in that moment in Detroit, all of those artists coming through there. And every interview I've had with Berry Gordy or Smokey Robinson and others, they said it was truly family. When I talked to Otis Williams last night, he couldn't talk. He said, I can't talk right now. I've lost a true friend.
Well, they started on an amateur level at the Warfield Theater where we all competed, and they were the primes and the Supremes were the primettes. And, of course, they have a history far before Motown, Motown's celebrity status. And of course, I know he would be broken. All of his group members have passed on. And being one of the legendary originals, I will apologize for my phone.
It's all good. It's all good.
This morning. I love Otis, and yes, we were a family, and yes, we are hurt and deeply surprised and dismayed that we have lost our lovely angel, Mary Wilson.
We read about breakups, groups break up, people move on.
Listen, they never broke up. We had the demise of Florence Ballard to deal with, and no one mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a separation business-wise, but they were the Supremes and will always be Mary Florence and Diana Ross.
And what I was about to say there, when I say when groups end, when individuals move on, when people switch record labels, the reality is the connection that folks establish, it is still there, because when you experience something going through something like the creation of Motown. People say, again, Berry Gordy built Motown, but without the artist, there's nothing to build. And so really, Berry Gordy and the artist built Motown.
We're the product of a man's dream. Berry Gordy took over 40 acts into his house at 2648 West Grand Boulevard, and he trained us all to be legendary artists that we have become. We all went to school at artist development, and we were trained together. We had classes together with all the girls and with all the guys. And it was part of Berry Gordy's dream. He wanted to make us socially accepted in the world, and he wanted to give us a chance for freedom to go on stage and perform, even in places where we weren't allowed, in the different places, restrooms and the different restaurants and hotels. Well, we made it, mainly because we were a company made by one man and one man's dream, to make the sound of young America.
Well, Martha, it is always a pleasure to chat with you and see you. Last time it was at the Sigma Gamma Rho convention that was here in D.C.
I remember that. We had a ball. That was wonderful of you to be there with the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority.
Yes, I certainly enjoyed it. And then as we were putting together this tribute, I told my people, I said, look, we've got to get Martha Reeves on the show. And I look forward to, once we get further down the road with this COVID, getting to where you are, sitting down and doing a longer one-on-one interview that we can share some great stories with our audience.
Yeah, and my best to Melba Moore.
All right. I will definitely pass it on to Melba as well. Martha Reeves, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
God bless you.
God bless you as well. Folks, as I said, you heard Michelle Williams and I talking. It was just 3 days ago when she posted this video on YouTube talking about the 60th anniversary of the Supremes and the new stuff that she had planned and the new music that she had planned. And so, folks, this is Mary Wilson from just 3 days ago.
Well, this is Black History Month. Yes, indeed, it is. And I am just so thrilled because so much has happened to me in the month of February. I mean, really. When I say me, I mean the Supremes, you know. And so we're going to be talking about Supremes, 60th anniversary. And I will be talking a lot about that, and mainly because I finally have decided how to work with Universal, and they are going to release new recordings, Mary Wilson recordings. Yes, at last! At last. Thank you, Andy's girl, for, helping in that, and Harry, too. But anyway, so much is happening. I mean, like I said, we will be talking about those new releases, Mary Wilson's. I think they're going to release Red Hot, that album, remember, in the late 60s. Was that late 60s? Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was the late 70s. But it was in February. So let me tell you, on this album, Red Hot, And I have the Gus Dudgeon songs that I did in the late 70s. That's the right time. And it was 4 wonderful songs that were never released, so now they'll be released. And I've also have some other songs, some surprising new songs, new recordings. Yeah, so thank you, Universal, for, chiming in with me and helping this come true. Hopefully some of that will be out on my birthday. Yeah, March 6th. Yeah, and we'll see. Okay, I got my fingers crossed here. Yes, I do. So, and also this month is, this month is Black History Month, as I mentioned, and it is just so much is happening. I'm going to have a couple of interviews on there. One that I did at the Carlisle Hotel in New York. And I was interviewed about that Green Book. I hope you guys saw the movie, because that was something that, hey, we the Supremes, we experienced a lot of that stuff, right? Especially when we were on the Motown Review Tour in the South. And then, of course, we were on the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars show, and we had a lot of things happening to us on those shows because of the segregation. So those are 2 important things that we're going to be talking about. And also, I think one of the other interviews I did was from, it was about Leo's Casino in Ohio. So, I want you guys to really check that out, because, we talked a lot about the segregation and things like that. So that's, a couple of the interviews I did. Now I'm going to give you some dates, because it's all in February, right? So let me see. February 2nd, My Heart Can't Take It No More. That was released. And we actually performed that at the Apollo during the Motown Review Tour. In 1963. So then February 7th, Run, Run, Run was released. I love Run, Run, Run. We really thought that was going to be a hit, but it wasn't. But anyway, we performed that on the Tammy Show. Yes, we did. So those 2. And then there was also February 8th, Stop and the Name was released, and that was in 1964, though. And we performed that one let me see, top of the name of the Oh, we did that on lots of TV shows. Yes, we did. In fact, I think it was Shindig, February 24th, 1965. We did that one, so I love that one. So then, of course, on the 18th of February, we did Where the Action Is. That was fun. There's a lot of other artists on that show with us, so check that one out. And then February 18th, I Hear a Symphony was released. That was one of my favorite Supreme songs, Holland Dozier Holland songs, I should say, because they did all those early songs, and I thank you guys for that. And then, let me see, that was February 20th, we were on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yes, indeed, 1966. So those are some of the things that you're going to be seeing on the YouTube channel, and I just want to thank you guys for, chiming in and seeing some of the things that we did back in the day. In the second part of the month, I will give you some other things that we did in February, all February. And it wasn't all good, some of the things that happened, because, of course, we lost our very dear sister, Florence Ballard, on February 26th. But we'll talk about those things later on in the month. So make sure you check out the channel. Check it out. Got lots of new uploads and new interviews, and all those things. Of course, Black History Month is going to be our theme for the month. Okay? Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.
We'll talk about those things later this month. Well, unfortunately, we will not hear from Mary Wilson again. That was a video she posted on her YouTube page just 3 days ago. She passed away last night at her home in Nevada at the age of 76. Joining us right now, 2 members, founding members of another amazing women's group going down in history, In Vogue. Terry Ellis joins us right now. Folks, let me know when we have Cindy Heron, when we have her up. Let me first start with you, Terry. Just what is it like, again, when they talk about history and they talk about famous girl group, I'll say women's groups, and In Vogue is mentioned in the same breath as the Supremes?
Oh my God. First of all, hey, how you doing? And thanks for having me. Well, I'm so blown away and almost speechless after watching that clip of Mary Wilson. Just to be mentioned in the same breath with the Supremes is it's truly an honor, because we're talking about an era of music that was Black excellence, the epitome of poise and class and sophistication, and they set the bar high for us. And so we had to strive pretty hard, to try and reach that. And we're so grateful for that, because they were trailblazers, and if it weren't for them, there probably would be no In Vogue.
We have Cindy Heron. Cindy, glad to have you join us as well. Another founding member of In Vogue. Always a pleasure to see both of you. Again, I'll ask you. You're just same thing. When we talk about famous groups, Supremes, they're at the top of the list.
Absolutely. The Supremes were my first girl group crush. And as Terry said, they set the bar very high. And for us, we always said that we were a composite in Vogue of many of the girl groups that had gone before us. And the Supremes was definitely at the top of our list. We could have never filled those shoes, but we certainly tried hard to follow in their footsteps. As Terry mentioned, they were groomed for success. They were classy. Their music had substance and great hits. Their music is timeless. And we fashioned a lot of the visual image of In Vogue after the Supremes.
Well, first of all, it's sort of hard, because if you didn't, folks would have made you do it. I mean, and then when we think about, not only that, when you think about the movie Sparkle, okay? And of course, y'all redid that famous song, and also y'all need to go ahead and make sure the video y'all did, they upscale that to HD. I'm just saying that needs to be. Since I got y'all here, they need to go ahead and of course those dresses are in the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. But when you think about Sparkle, then you think about the Broadway production Dreamgirls, and of course the movie came out as well. I mean, the Supremes were the standard, and Mary Wilson, everybody keeps talking, Diana Ross gets all of the attention, but without Flo Ballard, Mary Wilson, and Diana Ross, there are no Supremes.
That's right. I think in a group that's that successful and you have that much talent, it's never about just one person. Of course, fans are going to always have their favorites in a group. That's just how it is. But, what makes the group successful, and all of the elements and the components that make it what it is it's about the whole of the group. So it's never about one person.
See, as I was sitting there talking, Cindy, I thought about that scene from the movie The Temptations, and I forgot which one of them, when they said, "Otis, ain't nobody coming to hear you sing," but the reality is Otis was the one who kept the group together. And when we talk about group dynamics, that is important, because I don't care, it's the same as a football team, basketball team. Everybody has a role to play, and it doesn't matter if you're not the person who's always out front.
Absolutely.
The folk who are standing behind you also make it possible for you to do what you do.
Exactly. 100%.
Yes. And Mary was talented. We knew that if she wanted to go solo, she could have. She had a beautiful singing voice. But Mary was a team player. And she understood that the Supremes was a package. And it was a vision and a dream of Berry Gordy's. And he put this 3-girl group together. And it was intended that Diana would be the lead singer. So Mary knew it, but she also knew what she brought to the table. And she brought a lot to the table. The Supremes would not have been the Supremes without Mary Wilson.
Yeah, it was each one of the ladies and what they brought to the table that made it work as a whole.
Yeah.
Talk about when y'all crossed paths. How did she receive y'all? And the last, if you can recall, last time you saw her or chatted with her?
Oh my God! Let me just tell you, we were like little kids in a candy store when we met her. We were like, "Oh my God, you know what? We absolutely salute you. We honor you, and thank you for being who you are, and thank you for all the beautiful work and the legacy that you guys created for us. We just, it was, and especially now thinking about it now, I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to give her flowers.
Yes.
I'm so glad we had that opportunity.
Absolutely. And I know that it was about 3 or 4 years ago. We were performing, and I honestly can't tell you what event it was, but it was a corporate event where she was being honored. And to have her sitting there in the front, it was sort of like a banquet situation, to have her table sitting right there in front of the stage, watching our performance. This is the woman who inspired us. And she was a beautiful, vibrant, full of life personality. She was visibly still beautiful. We all marveled at her beauty.
Yes.
Like, we were like, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful." And she had this beautiful gown on, and she was serving you cleavage, and she was ramped up, and and she was stunning. And to see her still so beautiful and so vivacious and full of life and just bursting with personality and being so kind to us. I mean, she's a diva.
Yeah.
She was a diva in her own right, but she wasn't being that diva. She was just a beautiful soul, and that was an unforgettable evening. And we were just so honored that she sat there and watched our show. And we really did give her flowers, not just verbal flowers, but we brought her up on stage, and we were able to give her flowers.
You talked about her in the cleavage. I had to laugh. I did, y'all. This is a photo from August 2011. This is so here's the deal. This August 26, 2000. So the Alpha's production in D.C. This was the MLK memorialing that was stopped due to the hurricane. Alpha said, "Well, look, we already got flown in. We're gonna keep doing them." So we're backstage, Constitution Hall. See Mary Wilson. She always had great words. She worked that I did, and there's a rap, and she's on the hold up. She's like, I got out. So she takes the rap, and she said, "I got to make sure these." Oh, she back it up laughing.
Ow.
Yes, Mary.
Go, Mary. Mary said, "I'm gonna show you what I got."
Oh yeah. Oh no. And in fact, because we were backstage, and I can't believe, and I'm so ticked. See, this is the problem when you actually participate in conversations, because I was actually in the conversation with Mary Wilson, Layla Hathaway, and Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Wow.
And I'm standing there cracking them laughing because it was a cleavage conversation, and I'm just and so the three of them, that's a whole lot of cleavage in the conversation. So I'm cracking up laughing, and I'm going through, and I had this photo, then I had individual photos of Layla and Cheryl, but not all of us together because I was actually in the conversation. But it was always hilarious. But she was absolutely wonderful, was always good to hang out with. And that smile, and that's the thing. I think if you look at the video that we just showed you, and if folks, if y'all go to her Twitter feed, she had an electric smile.
Yes.
Oh, she did. Absolutely. I mean, radiating. Just a beautiful spirit. And she just exuded just beauty and sophistication all day long.
Cindy, final comment.
I am so grateful for the music that Mary Wilson and all of the Supremes have gifted the planet, because it's timeless. It is still a high standard for us girl groups to follow. And I'm grateful for her life, the blessing that her life was to this planet. So Mary, just sing your heart out in heaven, and we will see you when we get there.
Well, look, you two know I love y'all dearly. And to all the folks who watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, y'all, people thought I was lying, and I told them I wasn't lying. And there are people out there, they hit me up, they're on our YouTube channel, they're on Facebook, and they send me emails. They like, "Dude, your show intro is in my head. The music comes on, and they're like, I get these stories. People say they kids dance to the show intro." And for everybody who's watching, y'all can thank Cindy and Terry, because at the opening of the Smithsonian, y'all, this is a true story. The opening of the Smithsonian, they say, hey, well, we got a gift for you. And I was like, all right, I'm like, okay, what they got, a T-shirt or a hat or something? and here's what happened. So this is the backstory. So when we did TV One's News One Now, there were several people who I know in music who I said, hey, I would love for you to do the show intro. And my man Kirk Whalum sent me something. Dougie Fresh wanted to do something. John Legend did. And so in Vogue said, we put something together. And also, name the producer. I don't have it. Was it Silk?
Slick.
Okay.
Yes.
So the folks at TV One, they were like, yeah, we don't know. We think it sounds dated. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I said, what y'all say? And they chose some canned-ass news music. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Y'all chose that over In Vogue? I said, you know what? I'm done with y'all. So fine, we did that. So at the Smithsonian, they said, Roland, we want to gift this song to you because what you do for our people. And I said, I was so appreciative. And I said, yo, I'm going to hold on to this sucker. And when I just had to launch this show, when they canceled that show, I launched this one. There was no question what I would say was going to be the theme show of Roland Martin Unfiltered. So I appreciate both of you for doing the theme song to this show.
Well, we're so happy that you chose it.
That's why we just it was our pleasure to create that song for you. It epitomizes you and what you do. And thank you again. We want to give you your flowers again. Thank you again for what you do for our culture.
I appreciate it. And people love the Uncle Roro line that's in the song as well.
That's right.
I appreciate it. Cindy, Terry, thank you so very much. Thanks for joining us on this tribute to Mary Wilson.
Thanks for having us.
All right, then. Thanks a bunch. So y'all got the inside story. I told y'all thought I was lying. That was actually what really happened. On election day, Mary Wilson had a conversation with the folks at NNPA. And Lauren Victoria Burke was one of the folks who was on that conversation. I want to show some of that, then come back and talk to Lauren about what it was like to participate in that discussion with Mary Wilson. Y'all can roll it.
I want to bring in a very special guest, Miss Mary Wilson from the Supremes. Mary Wilson has been following this race just as well as everyone else. Welcome, Mary Wilson.
Hi, hello, everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm here all by myself trying to work this technology, honey, and at 76 years old, I tell you, it is hard. Trying to keep up with all you guys, but I hope you can hear me and see me now. Is it okay?
Yes, so we have we have Misha Green from the Afro in DC. We have Melanie Campbell of the Black Women's Roundtable, and below Melanie on my screen is Lauren Burke, a great columnist. She also works with Roland Martin on Roland Martin's show. She does a whole lot, and you talk about somebody plugged in, Mary Wilson on Capitol Hill. Well, you're looking at Lauren Burke. She is plugged in.
Lauren.
How you doing, Mary? It's an honor to talk to you.
Michelle and Melanie. Oh, I tell you, this is really something, isn't it? I mean, normally I'm on the road and I sit my ballot in. And this time I went down myself, okay? And but it wasn't long in Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas, and the lines weren't long, and so I was able to get there. I was number 25 in the line. I was like, yes, I can do this. And so I cast my vote because I'm just a Biden person. And love is Kamala, So I'm just so happy about this. And let's win this one, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, as Lauren said, we're all sort of legends around here, right? We're all doing wonderful things. I mean, I was around back in the 60s, and I was born in
You on that call, you were surprised when they called up Mary Wilson. Audio. Can't hear her. Can't hear Lauren. All right, Lauren, go ahead.
Okay, I was really surprised. In fact, of course, we were there to talk politics, and I really actually wanted to talk to her about the Supremes because we had no idea who was on what shift. We had a general idea of who was on what shift that night. You know how election night shows are. There's so many people coming in and out. So I was surprised that she was there. And I actually wanted to talk to her because you know, it wasn't every day. I could see Melanie and Dr. Chavis almost any time, right? But it wasn't every day you're going to see Mary Wilson, literally a legend that you're on with. So I can't believe it. You know, just looking at Twitter, I'm sure you noticed Roland, you know, Diana Ross tweeted a few things, and kind of sort of waiting for Tom Jones to tweet something. And I can't believe it. I mean, that we were just talking to her, and it's really shocking to me to hear that she had died suddenly, because she was certainly, you know, she was in the game and certainly all together. And the idea, I'm surprised that she was 76. She didn't seem like she was that old to me at all. So I was really surprised to see her, and I was really glad to talk to her at least for a little bit, you know, in that segment. Segment went on for about 30 minutes, so it was a lot of fun.
Well, it certainly was. It was great, and you're right. Look, it's never it's never easy when we lose our legends, especially when they're so active. But you look at Cicely Tyson. I mean, she was doing interviews for her book literally the day before she passed away. And Pat Harvey, who knew her quite well. Pat grew up near her in Detroit. Pat, she texted me and she said, "I'm just thankful that she passed away in her sleep."
Yeah. And I was thinking too about Hank Aaron, but you know, you're right. It's like, you know, a lot of these people have had experiences that were so incredible in the time that they lived in. And, you know, the idea of they actually lived in that period where we had the Green Book, as everybody knows, on the Motown tour. I think the other thing that kind of shocks me about the whole thing with the Supremes is that it's uncommon in our music today that you just sort of have hit after hit after hit after hit. Of course, the way Berry Gordy, you know, figured this out was that he put together a group of songwriters that was so great that you just couldn't lose, really. But for any group to have as many hit singles as they did in a row is pretty incredible. I have a lot of their songs on my phone, and it's so weird to me because you know, just in the last few weeks, I've been listening to the Supremes. But I mean, I don't know who doesn't have at least one or two Supreme songs in their phone. It is really incredible when you think about the musical legacy. I think they are the greatest group of all time, greatest female group of all time in terms of sales. I think that's accurate. I've got to write. Unfortunately, I got to write about her in about an hour for NNPA, but I'm really just sort of shocked by it, to be honest with you. It's an amazing thing.
Lauren Victoria Burke, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
To Lauren's point, this is the tweet that Diana Ross sent out. "I just woke up to this news. My condolences to you, Mary's family. I'm reminded that each day is a gift. I have wonderful memories of our time. The Supremes will live on in our..." Two folks who also knew Mary Wilson quite well is Eddie Levert, founder of the fabulous Mighty OJs, my man, my golf buddy, and the man who butt dials me more than anybody else. Y'all, every 3 months I get a butt dial from Eddie Levert. I'm like, "Eddie, is there like a butt dial contact in your phone? What's going on?" And of course, my other buddy, his voice ain't changed one bit. My other golf buddy, Jeffrey Osborne.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Jeff?
It's always great to have Jeffrey and Eddie. I'm a go elder first, cause you see Jeffrey, you see all that gray. You know, now everybody know Eddie when he was singing, he would have all, you know, he would have the black beard, the black hair. Yeah, COVID done just exposed everything.
Get him, Roland. Get him.
You know I'm gonna get him. You know I'm gonna get him.
Get him, Roland.
So Eddie, just share with us your thoughts about Mary Wilson.
Whatever, Roland. Whatever. Okay, Roland. Okay.
You know how I'm gonna do. Share us your thoughts about Mary Wilson, Eddie.
Listen, man. We've lost another great part of Black music history. You know, Mary Wilson, to me, you know, like, yeah, you have Diana Ross and you have Florence, but Mary Wilson was the glamour girl of Supremes. Yeah. She was that the one that you look at and you say, "Oh man, what if I wasn't so in awe of her whenever I would be in her company, I probably would have hit on her." You know? but I was so in awe from the standpoint that the first time I saw them, they were in Cleveland and they were called the Primettes, and it was four of them at that time, and they were playing a place called the Keith 105 Theater, and that was just before they started doing the all the great hits. And Diana Ross was still, she was still in the forefront, but you could always remember Mary Wilson because of the smile, because of the glam, because of, she just was that sophisticated part of the Supremes that when you saw without her, and the way she handled herself and the way that she performed and the way that she looked, she was a very intricate part of that group, and that, yeah, everybody loved Diana and her voice and the way she sound. But if you went there just to look upon a wonderful body and a great looking woman, then Mary Wilson was all of that.
Jeffrey Osborne.
Hey, Roland.
My man.
How are you, man?
All good, all good.
All right.
We always, of course, we live in this virtual world, and unfortunately, when a lot of our greats pass because of COVID, we don't have an opportunity to have the funerals that we normally do, the homegoing services. But we always make it a point on this show. Y'all, both of you been with us before, Bill Withers past and others. Why it's important for the next generation to know who these legends and greats are, and that's why we're doing this tribute to Mary Wilson.
Well, she was definitely someone that these young people need to take note and check out, because she was truly class, and I mean, she always had a smile on her face. I just saw her a year ago, I think, in Atlantic City, and she always had that warm smile, and she always held herself with such class. I mean, she's definitely one of the true legends. I mean, I would think that that's probably the biggest female group ever. I mean, the number one hits that they had, I can't even count them on two sets of hands. They had so and what the thing I love about that era and people like Mary is that they were just so classy. And I wish that some of these young women would take a page out of that book, because, it's one thing to be successful, but it's another thing to get up on stage with no clothes on. And these young girls don't have no clothes on today. They need to look back at the Mary Wilsons and the Supremes and those groups and see how classy they were and how they held themselves. And it's just amazing, man. She's definitely a legend. She's a legend that will go down in history. And I couldn't even count all her accomplishments. So, man, she's amazing, man. It really is.
Eddie, what Jeffrey was just talking about, I mean, the reality is that when we think about the Supremes, we think about Mary Wilson, Flo Ballard, Diana Ross, we think about the word that immediately jumps out is class. It was, and of course, the finishing school at Motown was important in terms of how they carried themselves. And the reality is, Luther Vandross was that way. Eddie, y'all are. Jeffrey, you are. In terms of how you present yourself when you are interfacing with the public, that's also a part of what people remember. It's not just the music, it's the entire package.
Exactly.
Well, Roland, it's like that. I always think of. When I talk to people, I always speak of Eddie Levert, the OJ, as in the third person, because that's a whole nother persona that when I'm at home, as you can see now, that it's like I am a regular person. But when I get outside of the realm of my home and I get outside to my public, then I become Eddie Levert, the OJ. In other words, not untouchable, something that they can touch, something that they can feel, something that I must let them know that I'm human, and also that I am going to carry myself in such a fashion that they can be proud that I'm a black man carrying the torch for all black people.
There you go. There you go. Well said, Eddie.
That's it. You know, and Jeffrey knows this the same thing, you know, like when we go up and do his fundraiser up in Providence, and when we go up there and the way that the people react to him and to all of us up there, Roland, when we all the celebrities that come, Smokey, Johnny Gill, Magic Johnson, all the people that come up there are gentlemen. These are all people that are representing our culture and our people at the highest level that we possibly can. And that's what I think these young kids just gotta start realizing. You're not just representing yourself, you're representing your people, and you got to make sure that that is a representation that is up at the top of the level, at the highest level.
I think what also happens, Jeffrey, is that when we lose a Mary Wilson, for a lot of people, it's also the connection with our parents. So, for instance, I love to play music all the time on Instagram. I have something called Club Brown Liquor. Now, I don't even drink, but I play what I call brown liquor music. I play the OJs. I play Jeffrey. I love playing Stranger, Holding On. And this is what I hear from people. Man, I grew up, my mama and daddy listened to it. And so it caused people to start thinking about their mother and father and growing up and family gatherings and things along those lines. That's also what the Supremes represents, because the music of Mary Wilson and the Supremes and your music and Eddie's music is that you can listen to it regardless of what family members in the room. That, I think, also is what we also think about when we lose a legend like this.
Absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it's class, it's solid music, it's music that has so much meaning behind it. Those artists like Mary, the Supremes, the OJs, I can close my eyes and enjoy that music. Some of the music today, these kids think they're on full display, and like I said, the way they present themselves, the way they're dressed. If you close your eyes, you ain't even going to enjoy it. So you almost have to look at it because that's the showcase for them. But, to be able to put a Supremes record on and just close my eyes and I can just envision everything I want, just the beauty of the music itself. They broke the ground, man. They broke the ground for me. I mean, that was an amazing era of music that they put out, and I can't thank them enough. And like I said, I don't think there's another female group that can rival them. Hell, they were rivaling the Beatles back in the day. They were going toe to toe, number one hit records.
And I think on that point there, Eddie, the music is timeless. Although Flo Ballard passed away in the '60s, although we lose Mary Wilson last night, the reality at the age of 76, there is no doubt that 100 years from now, the Supremes music is going to be played on radio stations across the world.
I have a nephew that he wakes up and he sings it all the time. Baby Love. He just sings. This is my nephew, and he's blind, and he sings Baby Love all the time. Just every time he Baby Love, my baby love. I mean, so, and he's like in his 30s, but this song has affected his life, and he lives in a world that he can't see. But this song has made him be able to visualize that song and those people that sing it. And they have touched his heart and his life, and they're going to always be a part of him. And so, yeah, man, rolling that music, Diana Ross, Florence Ballard, what's the other girl that took
Cindy Birdsong.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of these girls that and they came in because the reason why I can speak on it because Charlie Atkins, who used to do a lot of our shows, and he was a lot of part of the Motown grooming school that they had over there. That he would tell us a lot about Mary, a lot about Diana Ross, a lot about Florence, a lot about the Temptations, a lot about Smokey, a lot about the Four Tops. That era of music was inspiring to me. That made me want to be all I wanted to be, and it made the OJs be able to dress and to carry themselves in a star-like manner. If you can understand what I mean when I say a star-like manner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely understand what you mean. I mean, that's the presentation we all had coming up, and we got it. You know, those were our leaders. The Motown, the whole Motown era was amazing.
Absolutely.
And like you were saying, your young nephew or grandson that wakes up singing "Baby Love." I mean, you know, we'll forever have the image of "Stop" in the name of love embedded in us. So just that hand going out, "Stop" in the name that will live on forever and ever and ever.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I think
and all of that.
I think two things will be living on forever. Putting that hand out, "Stop" in the name of love. Two, the amount of sweat Eddie Levert drops on stage.
and the woo man.
And the sheer shirts of Jeffrey the sheer shirts of Jeffrey Osborne. Since they have the In Vogue red dresses from that video, giving him something he could feel, I think they have got to put a sheer shirt of Jeffrey Osborne in the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Yeah, get him, Roland.
I was so sure that when we play, I was so sure that when we played in the Jeffrey Osborne golf tournament, Jeffrey was gonna have sheer shirts for all of us to play. But everybody, we ain't all fit, working out with the chest like Jeffrey. But y'all, Jeffrey, how many sheer shirts you actually got? I think you got more sheer shirts than Frankie Beverly got white hats.
Hey, I'm putting up the hand. Stop.
I know. Every time I seen Jeffrey perform, I'm like, his ass got that sheer shirt on again.
Because you ain't seen me in a while.
And he's gonna take the coat off. He's gonna take the coat off so you can see the whole thing.
Yeah, he gonna know. Now, you stop wearing them when you hit 71. That what it was? When you hit 70?
That's right. When I hit 70.
If y'all think I'm lying, I want y'all to go to YouTube and look up some old video. Jeffrey Osborne gonna have a sheer shirt on.
They're not sheer. Where'd you get the sheer from?
Hey, Eddie, I swear I saw Jeffrey once in a fishnet shirt.
I love it. I love it. Get him, Roland. Get him.
I thought we were talking about Mary Wilson.
No, I'm saying I was about to close. I was about to say bye, but I just want to go ahead and put that out there for everybody who watching, just so we know. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure, man. We always see each other at the golf tournament, always see each other on the road. Y'all performing somewhere, I'll pop up. We do our thing. I appreciate both of you. Of course, the amazing music. Y'all are two legends as well, and so I appreciate joining us to show some love to Mary Wilson.
All right, man.
Thank you very much, and rest in peace, Mary.
Absolutely,
yes, sure.
Absolutely. Eddie Levert, Jeffrey Osborne, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. All right, Eddie.
Take care, Ro.
Yes, sir. All right, folks. So many people, of course, were just shocked and stunned by the death of Mary Wilson last night. Shirley Ralph, of course, who was in the Broadway production of Dreamgirls. She took to Instagram. She had the phone laying down. You could see her eyes are red, and she just had to share her thoughts with the world about her dear friend who she had talked to just the day before. Watch this.
I keep saying it, and I know it's true, that none of us have as much time as we think we have. And I literally just woke up and got the news that Mary Wilson of the Supremes has passed away. I'm that little girl in the 60s who put her t-shirt on her head, trying to make long hair to swing behind me, singing into the mirror, holding my hairbrush. And life is a funny thing. I loved her and the Supremes so much as a little girl. Like little girls love Beyonce. Now. And I grew up, met Mary Wilson while I was doing Dreamgirls, and she was nothing but kind and warm and sassy and tell it like it is. To me from day one. She kept in touch with me from the moment I met her. She did the first Divas Simply Singing with me and called her friends too. And when I was doing Divas Simply Quarantine, she said, "Girl, you know I have to do one with you. Just call Jay and we're just going to make it all happen." And we had the best conversation. And it's like yesterday, and you're like, today, what? I mean, life is short, and then we die, and you know, I always say, you know, try to settle things with people, but then life just happens. Death comes, and it is what it is. I shared some great moments with Mary Wilson because she wanted me there. Another great, I tell everybody, I had the greatest mentors of show business women. And when people talk about women don't support women, that's one thing I've always had, is the support of other women, especially other great women. And sometimes greatness is something you can't really see. You just had to experience it. And Corona is the season of Corona, and I don't know how she passed, but this season of Corona is just reminding me of back in the day when so many of your friends and your people or people you loved would pass away, and you would think to yourself, why is it happening like this? She would always... It's funny. We were supporting Kamala, and she was like, girl, we got to get her to the White House. She was always saying, how's that husband of yours, girl? You know I like that husband of yours. Vincent, how are you? Cheryl, I'm the dream girl. No, Mary, I'm the dream girl. You're the supreme. Another one gone. Rest in heavenly peace, Mary. Rest in peace and the power of persistence.
That was actress Cheryl Lee Ralph. In 1988, the Supremes were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This was the acceptance speech of Mary Wilson. Okay, folks, let's go ahead. Let's just do this here. Here it is.
And also, Richard, before we go any further, Florence Ballard's youngest daughter, Lisa Chapman Ballard. Thank you. Thank you. Richard, I didn't have this written down on my speech, but I think I'm going to say it after what you said. Honey, I was looking at you sneaking out to all those rock and roll, movies, and I had to hide my stockings in my purse and put my lipstick in my purse. I was only about 2. But we had lots of fun watching you. But, I know. But I am going to bring my little paper out here to read it. First of all, I'd like to sort of talk about the fact that, come Lisa, closer, that I was very privileged to have sung with 2 really wonderful people, Diane and Flo, and that Florence could not live to be here to know that what we as 3 little girls, 3 insecure little girls had dreamt of could possibly come true. It saddens me to know that, but that's life and there's nothing we can do about it. But I'm very proud that everyone has given us this honor so that her daughters could be here to see how much we loved her. Now I'm going to read my speech. And I've got to say that since I've written my book, I had to get glasses. But I'm not wearing them tonight. This is one of those rare moments. Oh, first of all, also, Mike had mentioned that Diane is not here this evening. It was my wish, of course, that she's here, but we all must recognize that people have to live their lives. And there comes a time in a star's life when you have to really assess what's important to you. And I would say that perhaps since Diane has received so many, many accolades in life and so much success, she probably has felt that she's married, she has a child, and this is something that's very, very important. And I respect the fact that maybe in her life she saw fit to stay with something that was very personal and a personal achievement more than a public achievement. This is one of those rare moments in a person's life and in history that we all dream of. And like I wrote in my book, Dream girl, my life is a supreme. Dreams do come true. Sometimes people have to just keep dreaming. We all hope that the world is looking in when we receive our awards and that the world can share in the moments of happiness that we each receive. I'm told that in order to be eligible to receive an award for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you had to have recorded some 27 years ago. Well, I was 6 when I started. It's very obvious, I'm sure. And it was because of one young man at the time, Berry Gordy, who was there for us. We had a place at Motown Records to go, and I'm very happy to say that he gave us the opportunity, and we cannot forget Holland Dozier Holland, whose music still lives on today. Florence and I shared a success that you all were looking in on throughout the world. And I certainly hope that you, as people, received and you were able to see the hopes and desires that we had, and it helped your lives along the way. I'd like to thank the directors of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for honoring us at this moment, and that we all can remember that rock and roll will never die as long as we, the people out there, making it happen. I thank you very much.
That was 1988, where Mary Wilson gave her acceptance speech when the Supremes were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is a statement that was released today by the founder of Motown, Berry Gordy. I was extremely shocked and saddened to hear of the passing of a major member of the Motown family, Mary Wilson of the Supremes. The Supremes were all known as the sweethearts of Motown. Mary, along with Diana Ross and Ballard, came to Motown in the early 60s. After an unprecedented of #1 hit television and nightclub book, they opened doors for themselves, the other Motown acts, and many others. I was always proud of Mary. She was quite a star in her own way, and over the years continued to work hard to boost the legacy of the Supremes. Mary Wilson was extremely to me. She was a trail, a diva, and will be deeply missed. That is Berry Gordy. Folks, it was, of course, last night when we got word that Mary Wilson passed away at the age of 76. She died in her sleep. And we showed you earlier the video that she released on YouTube 3 days ago. This was the video that she did on New Year's, celebrating a new year and saying, what are we going to make of 2021? A fitting way to close our tribute to Mary Wilson, dead at the age of 76.
Happy New Year's, everybody. Hey, Happy New Year's. I told you I'd get in touch. Honey, I'm here by myself having a ball. I'm not going to go out for New Year's. I'm going to celebrate and watch everybody on television. So Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody. Hey, Happy New Year's. I told you I'd get in touch. Honey, I'm here by myself having a ball. I'm not going to go out for New Year's. I'm going